Today we're talking family offices, how to approach one, how to pitch one, how to start a family office, comparing different types of family offices, all in today's video. My name is Bridger Pennington. I currently run 2 8-figure investment funds. We have over 1,000 fund managers and we're always talking about approaching family offices. So let's dive in. So what is a family office? A family office in the most simple form is just a bucket of money. A wealthy family, let's just say for example, this family made $75 million and they have this pool of money and they structure things to put together in a more, you can call it structured way to deploy and be prudent with that capital. That's really all it is. Some people use trusts. Some people use limited partnerships. There's a bunch of structures they can use. We'll dive into some of those in a second, but that's all it really is. So to manage, and some of you all know this, to run and actually manage $75 million is a full-time job. To actually deploy, to put into charity work, to make sure your kids or foundation or other things, that's actually a full-time job. And so what a lot of family offices do is they start hiring people to help them. And so what will happen, let's say this family has $75 million, they'll say, well, we probably need an accountant. So they hire an accountant. Then hey, we need probably an investment person. They hire like a CIO. We need maybe like a CFO. And I don't know, maybe like a charity person. That'd be like maybe a basic setup. So we have 4 people and we're gonna pay them salaries. You know, we're gonna pay them, or maybe they're part-time, full-time, whatever. We're gonna pay them some money to really think about and work on our family office, to grow the money, to make sure we're deploying it the right way, giving it away in the right manner, to not some scam charity, to really good charities. That takes a job, and because I don't want to deal with that. I just sold my company for $75 million. I'm gonna go spend some time in the Bahamas or something, right? Now you could argue, everybody listening to this channel, you're kind of your own family office, quote unquote. You already manage your own finances, you manage your own budgets and stuff, but the moment you really become a family office is when you have other people doing that for you. You have a pool of resources, and also you are paying them full-time on your staff. Now, there are 2 different types of family offices. There's what's called a multi-family office, and there's a single family office. A multi-family office works with other families. So maybe, hey, we're $75 million, that's in the family office world, that's okay. We're gonna bring in 3 other families or 4 other families that also have money, and we're gonna share these resources. We're gonna have, because it's the same work, we're gonna have the same CIO, the same CFO, the same charity person, the same accountant. We're gonna pay them all a salary of $150,000 a year, to do these items for us, and we're gonna share these resources. That would be a multi-family office. Currently, right now, Bridger, I'm actually in the process. I've just joined a multi-family office, my own wealth, and I've pooled resources with other family offices. That's where I'm at. Now, once you get big enough, and a lot of times the number is, I would say roughly maybe 200 million, you can become a single family office. And that's where you say, you know what, I'm sick of sharing resources. I want people like dedicated to me. And you say, you know what, I don't want to share with anybody. All of these people, the accountant, the CIO, the CFO, the charity person, and other people, they're just gonna work for my family direct. Jeff Bezos is a single family office. He manages, it's $150 billion. He's got his own CIO, own CFO, right? They're not sharing resources with anybody else. So if you're running a fund or pitching, it's good to know if are you talking to a multi-family office or are you talking to a single family office? So now the next big discussion with family offices, we'll get a new page here, is how do you actually pass down your wealth? Now, many family offices are concerned about passing down their money to the next generation. That's a very logical thing to do. And that's how they define it is they have G1, generation 1, passing money to generation 2 and then generation 3 and beyond. Now there's a funny thing, there's a lot of statistics on this. Most of the time by generation 3, the money is gone. Almost always. In very few cases, and what they say is, generation 1 makes the money, makes the money. Generation 2 maintains the money, and then by generation 3, a lot of times they lose the money. So, and a lot of times how this works, what they do is they set up a trust. If you've heard of trust fund kids, this is what they're doing. There's dozens of ways to do trust, but this is how it looks. So you have a trust over here. A lot of times the grantor, the G1 person, puts money into the trust. Once they die or something, a trustee takes over, and then that money gets given to beneficiaries. Now there's a lot of different ways to do trust, but that's a simple version. The beneficiaries are G2, G3. And a good family office try to raise these kids or whatever, but a lot of times it just makes for a bad situation. This is why you see like the Vanderbilt family or other big families that used to be really wealthy, they've lost all their money today. However, there is one family, the Rockefellers, who have kept their money for generations and continue to have lots of money today. And they did something very, very different. They created what they called a family bank. Now I wanna put bank in air quotes. It wasn't actually like a bank, but this is something that you could maybe even do today. What they did is they said this: we're gonna have all the money go into a quote unquote bank. Okay, here it is. And we've appointed 5 people who are gonna act as, you could call them the loan committee, okay? The loan officers, right? And what we're gonna do, if anybody in this group, maybe our G3 or G4 or family or friends, whoever, wants to have money from us, well, guess what happens? You've gotta come over here and you apply for a loan. And the loan officers will either approve or deny your loan. Now, we're gonna be nice, we're all family, we'll probably approve your loan, but it works like a loan. We're not just gonna give you money. So for example, if a granddaughter wants to come and says, you know, hey, I would love to go buy, I wanna get into real estate, I wanna go buy a 4-plex. Great, I'm gonna go pitch the bank. So she comes and pitches the family, hey, I wanna do this 4-plex. Great, loan officers approve it. Yes, we'll give you an approval. You're gonna get money at a 1% interest rate. So really small, low interest rate, almost free. And great, go buy your 4-plex. But you've gotta pay us back. There's an obligation. You've got to, we're gonna give you $800,000 to go buy this 4-plex. Come pay us back at a 1% interest rate. You got 5 years or 7 years or 10 years. We can extend the loan. And if you don't pay us back, you become a bad creditor, and you're gonna probably, next time you want a loan, we're gonna probably block your loan. So there is an incentive to be prudent with the money. This encourages entrepreneurship. If, a grandson down here in the G4 wants to go start a business, great, yeah, we'll approve you. We'll give you a really cheap loan or an investment. However, if you do bad with the investment, we're probably not gonna lend to you again. So make sure you do a good job. It's like, oh, okay. They change, instead of just giving someone money, there's obligations, there's terms, you gotta pay us back. And maybe the way I've set up my family office, for example, the first loan is a max of $100,000. You can only get 100 grand. And after you do a one loan with us, then we'll do more. We'll do up to 500,000, we'll do up to $1 million, we'll do up to 5 million, we'll extend your line of credit, but you gotta prove that you're a good creditor. Even if you wanna go to college, great, you wanna go to college, come pitch the loan officers on why we should invest in your college education and how that college education will pay us back. And you could repay that loan. It's not just free money, okay? That's how we structured it. Now, this is how the Rockefellers did it. They've had money now for generations. And this family bank still goes on today, because guess what happens? If, in my example, let's say I'm on the loan committee, me and my wife, we have a few other people on our loan committee. We die. It doesn't go into a trust with a trustee, it just stays in the business. It's a bank. And the loan officers, they replace me, they have a funeral, everyone's very sad, but then guess what? They just appoint a new loan officer. Maybe they grab somebody from G3 that's been doing well. Hey, you know what? Join our loan committee. And then they continue to vote on loans and manage the money. And it's just a business that continues on, okay? A lot of times, if I'm going a little deeper, how this is structured, they do this in a fund structure. So they'll set up, this would be the GP, the general partner over here. If you've seen my other videos on funds, you'll know a lot about this. This would be your limited partnership. This would be the fund. So it wouldn't be a bank, because banks have certain charters and rules. You wouldn't call it a bank, but it would be more your limited partnership. The money would be in the limited partnership. You'd have a general partner voting on where do we deploy this capital. So now let's talk about approaching and raising money for family offices. Now there's an old adage that says, hey, if you know a family office, guess what? You know one family office. Family offices run a lot of times very separate from one another. Some people think like, oh, I'm gonna crack into this family office network. And they meet one family office and it's like, they don't know anybody else. And that's the old adage, because they sometimes operate very individualistic. Some work together in multi-family offices, but they work individually. Now, something to notice when approaching family offices. Hey, let's talk about a larger family office. Most of the time, they have already decided on a certain mandate. So I'm gonna give you a great example. This is my fund. I have a crypto hedge fund right now. We manage 8 figures in crypto. We've done extremely well over the last few years. We've approached a number of family offices. And what's funny, we go sit down with them, and I'm gonna draw a little pie chart here. They've got their little pie chart. They have already decided beforehand what their allocations are for their family office. So they've already said, hey, 38% is going to be real estate. And we're going to do, 25% in equities. And we're going to hold 10% in cash. And we're going to do this much in bonds, right? And then we have this much in fixed income, right? And they already have decided the mandate. And we've talked to family offices, and we'll go meet with their CIO or somebody, and they go, oh, well, sorry, crypto is just not even in our mandate yet. And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, we have our mandate and we've already decided on what we're investing into. Crypto is not even in that. And it's like, oh, shoot. And he's like, we're meeting in April, like next year, and we're going to decide if we should add crypto to the mandate, right? So understanding, number one, is there a mandate? And do you even fit into the mandate? Now, have we tried to brute force crypto into their mandate? Yes. Has it ever worked? No, not yet at least. Now, if you do fit in that mandate, just so you're aware, they've already decided they like real estate. They just got to decide if they like you to manage a portion of their real estate portfolio that's already in their mandate. Okay, so something to be aware of when you're approaching or doing research on family offices. Another thing to consider, there are multiple decision makers. This was institutional investors as well. We've had a lot of, when we go pitch, you just think, hey, I'm pitching one person and they're going to decide to invest or not. That's great. We've actually had this happen a few times with us with Ugly Unicorn. We'll go pitch like the son of the family office. He freaking loves us. He's like, this is the coolest thing ever. He loves our fund. And we're like, great, man, we're getting great. They want to invest in our fund. This is awesome. Well, he goes, let me just talk to my team real quick. I'm like, okay, sounds good. Well, we'll talk to anybody. And then we go meet with the CIO. And then we have to meet with the lawyer. And then we got to meet with the CFO, right? And almost always, and we'll get them sometimes together in one room. There's 6 people in a room and they're all decision makers. And 2 of them love us and love crypto. 4 of them have never bought crypto, hate it, think it's a scam. And we're like, gosh. So now we got to convince, you're now selling multiple people. You have different decision makers, and it just makes it a much more complicated sale, which is totally fine. But just understand that going into it. You are selling with multiple decision makers, multiple different levels of experience, and different backgrounds, a lawyer, a CFO, CIO, the son of the family. In our examples, the family members usually love us. The CIO has never bought crypto in their life. It's not in their mandate, and they don't want to touch it currently. And so it's this back and forth, this tug and pull of the younger son versus the CIO, and they're now fighting internally. And we're in this office like, okay, they're fighting about crypto. And it can just be interesting. It's good to know that that's the dynamic of how this works. Same thing's true with the multifamily office and other family offices you're pitching. So to come back, number one, if you can do research up front, see if they already have a mandate for you and you fit into their portfolio. Number two, understand there's multiple decision makers. Last thing I'll say, number 3, every family office is different, but I've seen a number of family offices, they stack everything together for a year. It's like we called one up, they were like, hey, this is cool. It's like January. This is awesome. We're talking to them. They go, great. We only make deployments in August. And you're like, what? Oh yeah. So what we do, we take all of your pitch decks and we decide on all of them in August. So just be aware they have different timelines, different things that they're doing in their family office.